Alright, let's do another Lightroom tutorial. I'm going to show you how to get from this picture here to this one here, which is a nice orange and teal style, high contrast, high clarity, nice pop to it. Good little image. I like the corrections we did, so let's get going. Let's start out with a blank image here. So starting off, basic corrections as always. I'm going to fix my exposure, which I think in this image is just a slight addition, not much, probably around plus 40. We're gonna add a little bit of contrast. Most of our pop in this image is gonna come from clarity. I like to use one or the other. I think when you put a lot of contrast, a lot of clarity, you start to get over edited looking photos. And this one's already highly edited. So, and I always like to slide both just to see what they look like. We're gonna go about plus 15 for an image like this. And because I don't shoot with an ND filter, and chances are you don't either, our sky is going to be blown out. So highlights are gonna come way down, same as always with almost every image. Let's go for about, and you can see also you get this nice yellow tint in the background of the image, and that's what's actually gonna allow us to create that orange effect. Let's go around minus 80, minus 90. Shadows are probably gonna come up a touch, not too crazy, around plus 30. So we haven't really started to, actually, you know what, we can go more. Let's go all the way up. Let's go plus 50. So basic corrections, almost done. The image is starting to get a bit easier to see. We haven't stylized it. Whites, I think we're gonna come down on the whites, probably about minus 20, minus 25. Not too big of a difference there. It's subtle, but it will help us with the sky. And I think because of the rays and the shadows, as always, we're gonna drop the blacks to around minus 40, get us more of a nice natural contrast. That kind of gets rid of that log footage kind of feel. Tone curve. Okay, I'm gonna put my 3 points in as always. First thing we're gonna do is gonna crush the blacks because I do want a little bit of a film look to this one. Not too intense, just a nice little amount there. We are gonna leave the midtones alone. A little bit addition to the midtones, and we're gonna raise the highlights a touch. Now this is where the image is really gonna start together. Now that we've done some basic corrections, we're gonna add a little bit of warmth, probably around plus 10, and you can already feel a big difference with that addition to the warmth there. I think we don't want to add any orange to this. I actually want to add a touch of green, and I'll show you why in a second. Vibrance is definitely going to come way up. We're going to go around plus 40. And saturation is going to come a little bit down to balance out those greens and yellows we just added. Now for the color tab, we're going to leave red alone for now. This one's going to be important. Orange, yellow, and green are what's going to make this, this orange effect, especially in the sky here. Let's bump up the luminance of our oranges. Can really see it come alive in the background here and on the hood of the car. We're gonna go around plus 60, and we're gonna add a little bit of saturation to them, add a little bit extra color. Plus 10 approximately is probably good. And then, bam, if you're wondering where I'm going, this is gonna show you right now. We're gonna take the hue of the yellows and we're gonna slide them all the way down to red. And you'll already start to see this come a lot closer to the image we have here, just based off that slider here. See how big of a difference that makes? Take those yellows, accentuate the yellows, and then turn them into red. We're probably gonna go around minus 80. Would probably be about good. Saturation, add a little bit more of that red, around plus 20. Luminance can probably come a little bit down as well, just so we can recover a little bit of details in the clouds there. That's about good, I'm happy with that. Greens aren't too important, but I do find the greens in the background here slightly distracting. So I'm going to brighten up their hue a little bit and probably desaturate them a touch. And by a touch, I mean about 50%. Luminance can probably come down a little bit, nothing extreme. We will touch the aquas as well, and that's probably the last color we will mess around with. Let's change the hue, brighten these up a little bit. And the reason I like to do that is I feel like it makes a difference on the hood of this car here. I feel like it really adds to that teal effect, so we're gonna go about minus 55 hue. Maybe about plus 10 saturation. And let's brighten up that luminance as well, just to really get the effect I want on the hood of his car right here. So, color corrections. Bam, so much better already. Now let's go down to effects tabs. This one is very, very important as well. This is also gonna help tie the effect together. Bang, we're gonna go plus 40 clarity. Huge difference right off the bat, you can see. Like, it looks intense right now, and we will go back and correct that, but a photo like this really gets some intense lift from clarity. I find that photos that have cars in them, have, you know, urban or city style feels really, really benefit from either high contrast or high clarity. That's just my preference. People will tell you not to touch it. I say screw them, go ahead, go crazy with the clarity slider. I would try never to go above plus 40 though, unless in very, very specific cases. Use your judgment. Dehaze, we're definitely gonna throw some dehaze in there. to balance out that additional clarity we just added. We're probably gonna go about plus 40, plus 30. I like plus 35. The image is starting to come together already. It already looks a lot nicer. Already got that orange and teal feel to it. Then we're gonna come down to split toning, and this one isn't as important. It's a lot more subtle, but I think into the shadows, that's not what I wanted. We're gonna add the slightest touch of red. Around saturation 4, saturation 5. And what this is going to do is it's gonna give the feeling of a more orangey overall tint, obviously. It's gonna put a little bit more orange into the roads rather than the original blue, and it's gonna put a bit more orange onto the reflection of this hood here, which I really like the look of. I think that ties it together. And in the highlights, just to balance that out, we will put a complementary color to kind of finish off the look. We will add some blues into the highlights, just to really try and accentuate that theme of the teal and the orange. I've got a little bit of sharpening, a little bit of color noise reduction, chromatic aberrations are removed. I'm gonna put it into 1:1 for Instagram, and I'm gonna crop it to about here. And the reason for that is if you look at the rule of thirds here, bottom left, I want your eyes to rest right around his rock on sign. But I feel like if I put it here, I've got a bit too much, empty space that I don't like. And I do wanna show off the fact that this is kinda in a mirror in the reflection of my car. So I'm gonna center the rule of thirds just on the mirror here. And when you look at the image, your eyes should rest right on that rock on it. It should be the first thing you see. Now, if there's one final change I was gonna make to it, but I'm not gonna do it, is I might brush a tiny bit of exposure or maybe even a touch extra clarity onto the hand here and onto the forehead, just to like really draw your eye to it. I don't think it necessarily needs it, but let's take a look at the original image. That's what we were trying to get to. That's what we did. And I think that looks pretty good. I think we got close enough. I'm happy with both of these. There's our before and there's our after. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Please go try this one out. Try this editing style out. Be sure though that when you're editing with this, don't use my exact settings. Just kind of use the rules of thumb and like the explanations that I use to try and replicate it. If you use the exact settings, every image is different and you're not gonna get the kind of look that you're looking for, but just use the kind of philosophy that I used here. And thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next video.